And welcome back to Bible Study by the Pond. Rebel and I welcome you to the reading of Genesis, chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Here we have typical human. We've waited and waited and waited. God has promised. Obviously, it appears that God is not going to do this His way, so we need to take responsibility. So we're going to do our part. There is a part we're to play in everything, but that part is obedience. When God decides to do what He says He will do, that's on God. I'm learning the same lesson. It's not easy, especially in today's world where everything is immediate communication, text, phone calls. We expect people to answer the phone immediately, answer our text. We expect things done now. Well, they'd waited for many, many years after God had given the promise. Now they decided to take matters into their own hands. Abraham agreed to what Sarai said, so after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai his wife took her Egyptian maidservant Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar, and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. And again, in our lives, thank you, Rebel. Did you want to play? Yes, you do. Rebel loves to run. He loves to go chase things. So he's bringing me what we'll call a ball. It's actually a gourd. All right, sweetheart. When the Lord does something for us, how often we get egotistical, prideful, arrogant. Hagar, ooh, I'm so important now. I will take my mistress' place. No, 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 no. We are all to stay in our own places. One moment. Rebel, let me get this. All right. Okay. Go get it. Rebel loves to play. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my servant in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." Again, back to Adam and Eve. Same thing. As soon as man sinned, man starts doing this, pointing fingers. It was Sarai that suggested it to Abram. But after the event came about, now she blames Abram in our own lives. Are we blaming others for our own faults and problems? It's too easy, isn't it, to shift the blame to others instead of taking the responsibility of what we have done in our own lives and taking responsibility for it. Yes. "Your servant is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur, and he said, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, Where have you come from and where are you going? Notice what the angel said. Hagar, servant of Sarai. That was her role. That was her position. We're all to be in our positions. We are not to attempt to take anybody else's position. We're not try to take over something that doesn't belong to us. When God calls us to a position, we're to stay there, serving the Lord until He moves us and changes our position. Sweetheart, would you like me to throw that again? Come on. All right. All right. Ready? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, Go back to your mistress and submit to her. That's what life is all about, submitting. Oh, it's a hard thing to do, isn't it? If we plan to go to heaven, we had better learn now to be submissive. We are to serve. Everyone in our life, we are to serve. We are to be obedient to our situation. That's what develops our character, self-control, discipline, prepares us for heaven. That is what perfection is all about. The angel added, I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, You are now with child, and you will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. How true that is. Ishmael's descendants, which are basically the inhabitants of the Middle East, they are totally against everybody and themselves. They cannot live in harmony with themselves. Constant fighting over there among the Arabs, the Islamics, the Muslims. Constantly fighting. Constantly having to find somebody to fight against, to hate, to hurt. How different from those of us who are to be Christians. Our whole purpose in life is to serve. We will take the mistreatment, the abuse that the world gives, but we don't ever give it back. We love. We care. We give. Don't we, sweetheart? She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. It is very important to understand the lessons from this chapter: obedience, submission, stay in our place. Don't get high-headed, egotistical. If you get promoted in a job, stay humble, serve those around you. Use your position for one purpose, serving others. You will be loved and cared for, and by doing that, we bring glory to God who serves us every day. Thank you for joining us.